press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
This is my pleasure to host you over here. This is Shubhajit, and I want to congratulate you for two things. First of all, first thing is कि आपने COVID-19, so you have recovered, and secondly, most importantly, you have turned a father right now. Now that is a different emotion altogether. So how have things kind of shaped up after that? How has life changed?
First of all, thank you, Shubhajit, for your wonderful wishes and your warm welcome. It's life has changed for the better. Yeah, it's amazing. Like my wife and I sometimes pinch ourselves to see whether it's really true. But yeah, of course, she's beautiful. She's blissful, and whenever we look at her, we just we kind of melt and we just fall in love all over again. But it's a beautiful feeling. Of course, it's a great responsibility because our whole lives revolve around her now and her timings and everything. And apart from that, yeah, I've recovered. I'm back with my family. I couldn't have been happier, and I feel blessed that I'm absolutely back to normal. And now Poison releases soon, so of course the excitement level is another level altogether. So yeah, it's a lot of good things, and God has been kind.
It's like all the good things happening together. आप father बन गए, COVID-19 से recovery हो गया, नया show आ रहा है, everything is happening one after the other.
Yeah.
But एक चीज मुझे बताइए, sir. Obviously, we are discussing Poison 2 today, but then I mean, it's not something that happens every day, right? I mean, you become a father. You have a lovely daughter, an angel right now in your house, and it's quite interesting कि उसके कुछ time बाद ही you obviously had to go through that COVID-19 period. So when you know that you have got this kind of a disease which you don't really know what is the exact cure, and you have a lovely little daughter, very young, tender, like a flower in your house. So what are the kind of additional precautions that you take? And were you nervous because of her around? What was like the emotions at that point of time?
Okay, so luckily they weren't here. They were in the UK, and they've been in the UK all through. I was in Mumbai when it happened. And I just finished shooting for Poison. There was a bit of work left for Poison, and unfortunately I got it. And I was fortunate and unfortunate because fortunately I was not with them, so I was alone by myself. So it's relatively easier to isolate because my family wasn't there. Correct. But unfortunately that I got it. But yes, of course I had to deal with it, and it took a couple of weeks, namely 3 weeks, to get over this entire thing. But yeah, so I mean, I was home quarantined and isolated in my room, and I really couldn't do much. I couldn't interact with anybody. But yeah, I had to just spend time with myself, look after myself, focus on my body and my well-being and my health. And then, of course, I was yearning to come back to my wife and daughter, which I did eventually after maybe 3.5, 4 weeks. And I spent, a good 6 weeks away from them, which was difficult. That was the only challenging part, I must admit. COVID was not that challenging in comparison to spending time away from them. But yeah, I mean, that was important that I focus on myself and I get well so that I can be there for my family. And yeah, everything's back to normal, and I'm here now.
Yes, absolutely. And जैसे कि कहा जा सकता है अभी कि COVID-19 का poison आपके शरीर से निकल गया है. Now we're talking about Poison 2 right now. So, yeah, quite interesting enough about that. And tell me something, sir. It's obviously we have seen Poison, the first season as well. Tanuj and all over there, and now you are coming in. ये revenge का जो एक format है ना, sir, ये कि revenge is best served cold. ये एक कहावत हम लोग बचपन से सुनते आ रहे हैं, and any kind of revenge drama or revenge series is something which is always fascinating and appealing. कितने भी हम लोग देख ले, लेकिन obviously whenever something new comes देखना चाहिए ही हमें.
Yes,
so what was that one factor that kind of made you feel कि यार ये तो मुझे करना चाहिए? And I'll come to your digital debut as well after that. But then what was that most important factor that led you towards becoming a part of Poison 2?
Okay, so like you rightly said, I found the answer in your question itself, is that revenge as an emotion is very appealing. जैसे कि आपने कहा कि आप जब भी आप revenge देखते हो तो कोई भी सीरीज हो, नया हो, पुराना हो, लेकिन आपको एक urge सा हो जाता है, एक desire सा हो जाता है कि मैं उस सीरीज को देखूं. Similarly, I mean, because it's such an appealing emotion and it's such a compelling emotion, that you really want to know more about it. There's also this mystery and this intrigue factor about an emotion called revenge. So that was the one thing that obviously is driving the show. That's the base of the show, because it's revenge. And who's taking revenge on whom and why and how is what the show is about. So because they've had a really successful season 1, with Tanuj, who happens to be like a kid brother to me. I love him to bits. they decided to do another season, and with a whole new plot and a whole new story, and the characters are not related to the first season at all, except for there are three characters that have been repeated from the first season onto the second season, and they're in continuation. But the plot and the story and the characters that they've introduced, like all of us in the second season, have got no relation to the first season. So that is like you watch the second season and the first season in isolation. So if you've not watched the first season and watched the second one, or perhaps after the 16, vice versa, it's not going to change anything because they're two different seasons and two different plots. Having said that, Revenge for me, and when I was offered by ZEE5, because ZEE5 and I've been talking about doing stuff for a long time, with Tarun, and he's an amazing guy. I know him since college, and we always try to do something together. And then finally, when this happened, and especially with Vishal, who's the director of the show, and he's a very old and dear friend of mine, everything just worked out fine. And this is something that I was looking out to do, because I know one of your next questions is the digital debut question, but I will try and include that in this question itself. That I was looking for something really that I can sink my teeth into, something that I can really do and showcase a side of myself which I have not been able to showcase for a long time in films. Because लोग अक्सर picture देखते हैं तो they imagine me as a comedy guy or a romantic guy, because I have a soft face. But playing this kind of a character which is really ruthless and really tough and a very, very strong character, that is something that I've always wanted to do. And whether it's gray shaded or complete negative like I did in Kasoor, which is my second film, I've always wanted to do stuff like that, because having a softer face and having a really strong and negative character kind of is the lethal combination. And I would love if people can see that, and I hope that I can do more stuff like that, because I really enjoyed doing Poison. And that was one of the reasons why I took my time to come on board for a debut digitally and with the right stuff. So I'm really glad and very happy that I did it with Poison 2. And I mean, now we're on the brink of its release, so lots of excitement. I'm hoping that people see me in this new avatar and they accept me in it as well.
Absolutely, sir. They will definitely. But you rightly pointed out that obviously the audience, they kind of relate to you as somebody who is absolutely amazing with comedy. And comedy ke baare mein, I'm a big fan of your comedy as well, because comedy, you can write it in the script, but then the kind of comedy that an actor performs, that is his own thing. Like I can take a reference as well when I say this. Jaise masti mein apne kuch, you have this thing, idea. The way you come up with that thing, I mean, you can include the dialogue idea in the script, but then the way you enact it on screen is something that is still remembered even now. Which is why I can take out that reference.
I agree.
You say that. So when you say that, you were actually waiting for something which is perfect for a digital debut, did the wait actually, was the wait too long? Because I mean, web series has been something that has been there in India. I think more after 2018, it has been really popular. Was the wait a little tiring and long?
I think that's the way my career has always been modeled. A lot of people ask me, why have you reduced your work? Why have you not done too many films, and why haven't we seen you much on the big screen? And I get a lot of these questions on social media that, sir, we miss you and we love your films, and we need to see you more on screen. And I there's a part of me that feels bad that I'm not able to entertain that, because I've not become choosy, but I've become more honest and sincere, meaning I want to do stuff that creatively I'm excited about, and not to substandard stuff. That's why I didn't do quantity. I could have chosen quantity, but I wanted to do more quality work, and I wanted to do stuff that really satisfies my soul creatively and gives me stuff that I can really be happy and excited and passionate about. Therefore, even similarly with the digital medium, even though it's been around for a while, I did get a lot of offers from various platforms, but it's that X factor that you look for in something, that I want to do this, I want to do that, and I want to debut with something which I've not done on screen. Like, for example, I did get offered a lot of rom-coms. I did get offered a lot of comedies. But if I had carried on doing comedies, which I will at some point, then they say, yaar, jo filmon mein kar raha hai, ye digital bhi wahi kar raha hai. There's nothing new that I'm giving them. So when Poison happened, and then when I got this character, and when I got this role, and I got this show, I said it's the perfect launch pad. It did take a little longer than perhaps what one would expect, but that's the way I've always done in things in my career, and there it is. But जैसे कि बोलते हैं ना, देर है दुरुस्त है, and सबर का फल मीठा होता है.
लेकिन सर मीठे फल के लिए सबर नहीं होता ना. That is the point.
That is also true.
If you come up with something like that, but ये आपने कहा अभी कि you have been waiting for something which is concrete, जिसके लिए you will feel like making it your digital debut. Obviously, the time you made your film debut, I mean, I was really young. I was probably in kindergarten or school probably, and coming to now, now if you see, so do you think the emotions of the way you used to think, because film debut के पहले एक अलग तरीके का nervousness था, obviously I'm pretty sure, because you are just coming into the scene, and right now you're already an established actor who is looking forward to carry the good work that he has already done. So
Sure.
how has the thought process changed from both the kind of debuts in the two verticals?
See, that era was very different. Tomorrow I will clock 21 years. So, and 21 years, a lot of things happen in 20 years, 21 years. So the thought process of a then 20-year-old to now a 42-year-old is very different, right? Because I've grown so much, I've matured so much, I've learned so much, I've gained so much of experience. and that makes you take certain decisions, and that makes you emote, and that makes you excitable, and that makes you anxious in another way, because of youth and because of the way people are in their youth. But when you grow older, and when you're a little more mature, and you realize a lot of things about life and about your work and the commercial element to it and everything, then your emotions are also in check. At that point in time, perhaps my emotions are not in check, and of course one would be very excitable and one would be very anxious about what's going to happen. Not that I'm not anxious about it right now, but there's a different way that I deal with my anxiety right now. Because it's the first time for me that I'm doing something on the digital medium, and obviously I'm excited, and I'm curious more than excited to see how it's going to go. Because this digital medium is going to be here to stay. So regarding that vertical and this vertical, of course, the guy I was then is not the guy I am right now.
Correct.
And the guy I am right now perhaps might not be the guy I'll be 10 years later, because I'm going to constantly evolve, right? I'm constantly going to grow. So that obviously my reaction to everything is going to change. And I think today I am excited, but I guess the way I show my excitement is a little different to what I did when I was 20 years old.
And I think that's quite rightly justified, because the way you grow, you keep evolving, and that's how your emotions kind of change as well when it comes to reflection. Sir, ये चीज मुझे आपसे जरूर जानना है, and I want to ask you this with a lot of heart. You have had a career which is basically, it has seen its own highs. I'm in love with some of your movies like Masti. These are, classic comedies. Even when you talk about comedy movies in today's time, Hera Fairy, Masti, there are certain movies that hit your mind instantly, and Masti is one of that. So, but there's also been few lows in your career, which is the part and parcel of everyone's life.
Yeah.
So when you had those lows going in your life and things weren't really going the way you probably would have wanted to, how did you actually buck up and come forward, so that you can actually carry forward, the work that you have been doing? How did you deal with that kind of a situation then? Because things were not going right at the point of time.
Right. Well, obviously there would be dejection, there would be sadness, and I would get upset that picture nahi chali, और सारा दोष जो होता है कभी नहीं अक्सर होता है कि lead actor के पास जाता है और बोलते हैं कि यार इसकी पिक्चर नहीं चली, उसकी पिक्चर नहीं चली. So that unfortunately the credit or discredit comes to a lead actor, because we live in that kind of a society. It comes on the male actor for that strange reason. But of course then the era was different, and like I said, my emotions are different. The only way I would pick up myself, and I would imagine that I did, is by believing in myself. Sometimes when you there are two ways of looking at it. When you go through some sort of failure, even though I hate the word failure, you immerse yourself back in your work, and once you're busy, your mind is occupied, then you automatically tend to forget about it. It's only when you're unoccupied is when your mind tends to go back and start thinking, अरे यार नहीं चली, मुझे ऐसा करना चाहिए था, वैसे करना चाहिए था, ये करना चाहिए था. That whole syndrome keeps on playing in your head, which then turns into regret. Then say, then there's remorse, then there's regret, and then there's guilt, and there's all sorts of negative stuff happening inside your head. Either one way is to just immerse yourself back in work and just move ahead, look to the future. Just chalo, nahi chali baat khatam, let's go on to the next. That is one way. The more difficult route is when you don't have work, or when you're unoccupied, or when you are unemployed for that matter, and then your mind is free. Then you're sitting and you perhaps would indulge in negative activities, like you'd probably drink, you'd probably smoke, you'd probably go out and do stuff, and you'd probably be harsh on your body because of the negative anxiety that's in your mind because of something's not work. So there are two situations. One is that you go back to work and forget about it. But then if you don't have work, what do? People will ask, "Arey, mere paas to kaam hi nahi tha, to phir main kya karta?" I think at that point in time, you need to keep your emotions in check and realize that it's not you who's failed. अगर audiences को अच्छी नहीं लगी, try again. But that doesn't mean that they have rejected you as an actor or rejected you as a person. Because an actor doesn't constitute the whole film and is not responsible singularly for the success of any film or the failure for that matter.
Exactly.
So one has to keep telling himself that, ठीक है, नहीं चली, we'll try and do better. Because failure teaches you more than success. Success sometimes elevates your head and you start thinking, okay, I'm the be all and all. But failure does teach you a lot. It kind of takes you 2 steps back and it reminds you a lot of your reality. So I think use that pain, use that time to manifest it into something positive. And that's what I did. I never lost faith in myself. I was always nice to people, even though people's reactions towards me changed once the films didn't work. But I was never back to them because I knew that, that's life. अगर चलेगी तो सब लोग आपकी वाह-वाह करेंगे. अगर नहीं चलेगी तो आपके पीठ पीछे बहुत सारी चीजें कहेंगे. But I think that's just the nature of man. That's the way people are. I didn't take anything seriously. And have faith in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. That's the only thing that's going to allow you to get back and fight.
Sir, this will be my penultimate question, second last question. Ki, you mentioned rightly, Abhi, ki, when things were not working in your favor, reaction of people towards you kind of changed. हमारे इंडस्ट्री में सर एक कहावत है, काफी कहा जाता है कि फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में there is no permanent friendship, there is no permanent enmity. So do you kind of believe in this?
100%. That's like an unwritten Bible.
Yeah.
That is absolute truth, because nobody can be friends and enemies forever.
Yeah.
And that is the truth, because if you fight with somebody today, you can become friends. Come on, you can see it large in the history books. You can see it. Friends have turned enemies, enemies have turned friends. Yeah. That's why we all love Game of Thrones.
Love it, Sansa Stark. Anyway, sir, एक चीज, last question before I let you go, obviously, because I'm pretty sure you're having quite a busy schedule, is the fact कि now that you have made this kind of a decision कि नहीं, जब digital debut किया है तो कुछ ऐसा हटके तरीके से करेंगे जिसमें लोगों ने मुझे नहीं देखा है. So now, obviously, you're setting a bar for yourself. Now, when I hope Poison 2 works and people like you over there, but after that happens, would you be under any sort of pressure to continue the momentum? Because नहीं यार, अभी तो लोगों ने कुछ अलग देखा है मेरे तरफ से. Now I have to do something different again the next time to come up with. So do you think you will carry that kind of a baggage?
I wouldn't have pressure, but I know there'll be expectations. And as an actor or as any professional, whichever field you are in, there's always expectation. There's always, even sport for that matter. If I give you a simple example, if you win one championship or one tournament or one trophy, it doesn't mean that you're going to sit back. There's always going to be an expectation for you to win the next one. Similarly, if you apply that into films or as an actor, if people have liked you in a certain part or people like you in a certain show, and you've set a benchmark for yourself, you always have to raise the bar with everything you do. In any genre, in any show that you do, because at the end of the day, you have to be true to yourself, and you have to be sincere with your stuff and honest with yourself, because at the end of the day, when you go to sleep, it's only you talking to yourself in your head. And then you'll ask yourself that question, were you honest with yourself? And then the answer is either yes or no, and then you'll know the answer. Obviously, you probably won't share it with everybody else, but you'll know the answer. But yes, you will have a certain amount of expectation which you have to cross every time. I don't look at it as baggage. I look at it as a challenge. I look at it as motivation. I look at it as something that is going to help me to perform better. Because I have a lot of people that I'm answerable to, my fans, my well-wishers, my viewers, my audience who've liked me in something. Yeah. So I will never do injustice to them. I will never deceive them. I'll always be honest with them. I'm saying that I'm going to try my best always, and I always have done in my past, and I always will carry on doing so.
I think I really like the motivation part that you said, sir. Ki, instead of a baggage, I look at it as a motivation ताकि I keep up doing even better work. I wish you all the best, sir, for Poison 2. Poison 2 के आगे आप जितने भी projects करो आगे, I wish you all the best for everything.
And I really enjoyed talking to you, by the way. I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you so much, sir. It's a
You're young, but you're very intelligent, I must say. I think the first time talking to you, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so
really
much.
Enjoyed this, and thank you and all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. All the best. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.